Let's talk about Dangote Refinery's impact on global market and the future of African oil. We all know that oil controls everything in the world, and oil is a fundamental part in global trade. And recently, we heard that Dangote wants to open a refinery in East Africa, and he has been having talks between the Kenyan president and the Tanzanian president. And we all saw the drama of what happened, but this is not my concern. Today, I'm here to talk about the economic impact and the future of Africans' oil. Now, we have to know that Dangote Refinery has a very big impact on African soil. And recently, announcing the fact that he wants to open another refinery in Tanzania or Kenya, depending on where he chooses to open that refinery in East Africa, this creates a big impact in the African continent. We can all agree that with what is happening in the Strait of Hormuz right now, there is a shortage in supply of oil in the world. And this is the great time for Dangote to get into world market of global oil supply. And already Nigeria is supplying a lot of countries out of Africa. Now, I'll put a list of all the African countries that Nigeria currently supply oil. So from this list right here, you can see that Nigeria supplies about 17 African countries oil, and Nigeria also supplies jet fuel to countries like UK, Netherlands, Belgium, France, Germany, Spain, Portugal, and Italy. Nigeria also supplies countries like Finland and part of the USA, and also Sweden and Norway. Now, you see that this is a good impact on African soil. Now, how does this affect African trade? This move protects African local currency. That is, African countries will no more depend on foreign currencies to buy imports, so they will trade in their local currency. Buying less imported fuel means that nations don't have to spend a lot on their foreign reserve. This is a very, very important phenomenon in foreign trade. And also, this refinery helps to boost energy security in Africa. Africa will not depend 100% on global prices, or a sudden drop in global prices will not affect us a lot. But nevertheless, there is something that still affects our global trade in Africa, which is logistics. Dangote also spoke about this. You see, logistics in Africa is a very, very big problem, and this is what we need to fix. And people have been talking about industrialization in Africa. If we don't fix our logistic problem in Africa, then industrialization is far from us. Why? This is because for Africa to become industrialized, we need to import a lot of machines. And if trade between African countries is very, very difficult because of high logistic prices, then it will be difficult for us to transport those machineries that we really need in Africa to industrialize the continent. Now, I would like us to talk about the future of global oil prices. You see, oil is a fundamental thing in global trade, and we all cannot ignore this. You see, recently, the Strait of Hormuz has been closed, but the refineries in Iran have not yet stopped producing fuel. Why? This is because if these refineries stop producing fuel, then their pipes will clog. Fuel is something that cannot just stop production. So for some time now, since the US announced a ceasefire, but the Strait of Hormuz is still closed, Iran has been producing oil and storing it drastically. Until now, currently in May 25th, Iran keeps producing oil and storing the oil. So what happens after the Strait of Hormuz will open? What will normally happen is that all the oil that has been stored will need to be released. So it will cause a phenomenon where supply in the globe will be more than demand, because Nigeria is producing fuel. Other countries are also producing fuel now and also trying hard to set up their oil refineries. Iran, that is the main supplier in the globe, is producing and storing. So what happens after this war ends? It is imminent that after the war ends, supply will spike. And when supply spikes more than demand, prices will drop. But the problem now is we don't know how long these prices are going to drop, or at what level the price is going to stabilize and stay normal.